right, here we go now, baby. Joe and Jingles coming at you with all of our best bets for the Week 6 NFL Sunday action. Before we get into all of the spreads, totals, and props, make sure you hit that like button and that subscribe button right down there. Now then, let us get right into the action. We're going to start things off in jolly old England. Two separate bets for the Broncos-Jets game. Jingles, you're hitting leadoff. What do you got?
Let's go Franklin this week. I'm going over 39.5 yards. Receiving -110 for Franklin. I do have his touchdown at +200. The Broncos have a soft matchup early Sunday facing a Jets defense that's allowing more points per game than 30 other teams in football. They are maybe, we know what happened in Arizona. There's a lot of bad teams in football. I think the Jets are the worst. Now the Jets have to fly across the Atlantic, try to stop Denver. New York has given up at least 27 points in every game so far. Steelers, Bills, Bucs, Dolphins, Cowboys, mixed teams there. Dead last in EPA per dropback. And I think there could be some communication issues within this defense. 26 in EPA per play versus motion. That's bad news. Why? Because Denver, number 1 in EPA per play using motion, and Franklin averaging 6.4 targets per game, 46 yards. And he's faced Philly, the Chargers, and the Colts, who are all top 10 EPA per play defenses. So looking at this, he's averaging a better number than this on the year, and he's faced tougher defenses. This is an easier schedule, and that's why the blitz is projecting 47.9 yards. He's 4-1 to the over, and this closed at 44.5, and that's as high as I'm taking it this week too. But get the 39.5 -110. I'm on the over yards and the TD.
Okay, I'm going to go right back to the well on one of my favorite prop bets for the 2025 season so far. That is Breece Hall to go over his receiving yard number, sitting there at 28.5. So maybe the last opportunity to bet this, because this number has been on the rise here. But still, I think a very good opportunity, a very good spot versus a Broncos defense that could be a little sleepy with this early European start time. So Denver has actually struggled versus running backs in the past game so far this season. They've allowed the 6th most receiving yards to RBs. A lot of big passes given up to backs as well. An average of 14.4 yards per catch allowed to running backs on the season. Now Hall has reached 30 receiving yards at least in 4 or 5 games this season, including a season high 42 last time out in limited snaps in that blowout against the Cowboys. Hall is 3rd on the Jets in both targets and yards. That's kind of weird for a running back, but it is the New York Jets after all. And he is a guy with a very high ceiling. He has 15 career games with 40 or more receiving yards. So we'll back him again in jolly old England. Okay, Jingles, vibes not very high here for the Cincinnati Bengals, but you are very high on one of their receivers this week.
I'm just high on this price. Jamar Chase for a TD at +185 is too good to pass up. I don't care in any matchup, in any game, in any weather, and I don't think we're sitting there seeing flurries in Green Bay this week. He had 2 TDs last week with Jake Browning under center, 10 catches, over 100 yards. And now we bring in the ageless wonder, Joe Flacco, who just saw and beat Green Bay in week 3. Yeah, it wasn't a shootout, but at least there's a little familiarity factor. And LaFleur was saying, Coach LaFleur was saying, Green Bay was coming out of the bye, so they were game plan versus Jake Browning. And now you make this midweek move to Joe Flacco, kind of throws some things in the blender. That's for sure in terms of how that is. He mentioned that, but Flacco's not going to know this offense very well. And when you don't know the offense very well, you say, hey, I'm getting this ball to the best receiver on the team, and that's going to be Jamar Chase. He could be heavily targeted. We could see 15 targets in this game. Green Bay, much more difficult team to run against than to pass against. Chase, 165 was the closing price last week. Detroit, this sets up much better. The Bengals run game has been terrible to late. And like I said, Packers 77.5 rushing yards per game allowed. That's the second best in football. Joe Flacco doesn't know the playbook. What's he do? Just get it to Jamar. I don't care. 185 is a big price for, let's say, the best receiver in football when he actually has someone well throwing to him, and that wasn't Jake Browning.
Okay, next up for me, this is the first bet that stood out to me when analyzing the week 6 board. It is the over in Carolina with the Cowboys in town. Number sitting there at 49.5. Dog shit defense versus dog shit defense. Let's get into some stats. Dallas allowing 30.8 points per game, 30th in yards per play allowed, dead last on third down, 24th in red zone defense. As for Carolina, they're just 2 weeks removed from allowing 42 points to the New England Patriots. A league low 5 sacks, dead low or dead last, in pressure percentage. This really sets up for a nice day for Dak. Their offense is keeping him clean. They rank 4th in yards per pass attempt, top 10 in third down and in the red zone. They're one of 4 teams averaging over 30 points per game. And hey, you can make fun of the Dallas Cowboys, but their offense has been really good this season. This will easily be the best offense the Panthers have faced up until this point of the season. Very high ceiling for scoring here, too. 3 of Dallas's last 4 games have reached at least 59 combined points. So let's go over 49.5 in Carolina. Okay, next up, Cardinals. Jeez. I'm still haunted by that loss last week. I had them in Survivor. If you haven't heard, I've been telling everybody I know about that. But either way, they are in Indianapolis taking on the Colts, and we each have a bet for this game. Why don't you tell us yours?
I don't know what's worse, losing anything on Arizona last week or having Amari DiMercado for a touchdown, which I had, and that's about as bad as it gets. So let's use that. Let's take it for some information. Let's use it to our advantage this week. Let's go Michael Carter for a touchdown plus 200. Tough matchup, yada, yada, yada. I get that. But there's who's going to run the ball here? Trey Benson, James Conner on IR. DiMercado cost his head coach $100,000 because he got his PP whack. I don't think he's going to see much work. Yes, you got Bam or Zenovan White. I don't know what his handle is, but he got some goal line work. But it was Carter on the first drive, punching in a 2-yard touchdown last week. He got 23 of 31 running back opportunities. And this is just too big of a number for a guy who should see the work inside the 5. Kyler Murray didn't practice this week, but Jacoby Brissett is capable, knows this field, knows Indianapolis. And I mean, this is something you play to plus 150. You don't see running back ones with goal line work at this price very often.
Okay, my favorite spread bet of the week last week was for the Colts to cover the spread against the Raiders. Once again, my favorite spread bet this week is for the Colts to cover the spread against the Cardinals here in a very similar handicap here. A lot of this is based on feel. So the Colts still have that new car smell, right? And they're certainly not in a position to play down to the competition or take their foot off the gas. Daniel Jones and Shane Steichen getting a taste for winning. And they're hungry for more, baby. So they've destroyed every bad team that they played this season. Just beat the living shit out of them. They beat the Dolphins, the Titans, and the Raiders, all by at least 21 points. Now they're getting a Cardinals team that's starting to get seriously exposed. 3 straight losses for them. Let's look at some stats here. 2nd versus 27th in yards per play. This is a massive gap between these offenses here. The Colts O-line is providing great protection. The Cardinals having a really hard time pressuring opposing quarterbacks. Kyler Murray, by the way, he missed practice on Wednesday and on Thursday with a foot issue. I think that's a bit of an issue for a dual threat quarterback. I do expect him to play, obviously, but still, I think Arizona's just going to have way too much trouble keeping up in this one. So I'll take the Colts to beat the shit out of another bad team. Okay, we have Browns versus Steelers in Pittsburgh. You have a bet. I have a bet. What do you got?
I don't understand how this schedule worked out. Like Cleveland just got the worst edge of this schedule stick. I was betting on them last Sunday morning in England, and now they got to face Pittsburgh, who's coming off the bye. Jaylen Warren over 68.5 total receiving and rushing yards, minus 115, over 68.5. That's the number. It's just a massive schedule spot for Pittsburgh, who's coming off the bye, and Cleveland coming from England. 2 weeks he's had to rest this knee. He had the bye. He was off week 4, and he gets to face a Cleveland defense who we were parading around every week. I don't care. Look how good this team is. Look what they did to Green Bay. They got absolutely embarrassed in England. They faced Minnesota, and Minnesota put up 349 yards of offense. So, Josh, that's not a lot. Yeah, it is when you are missing 3 starting O linemen, your backup center, QB1, and running back 1. That was such a spot where Cleveland could have dummied a bad Minnesota team, an overranked Minnesota team, and they didn't. Now they got to travel. Now they got to come back versus a Pittsburgh team that gets their number 1 running back, that has been getting 18 to 20 touches, who's been incredible in the passing game. Why? Because Aaron Rodgers is the lowest average intended air yard quarterback in all of football by a mile. That's why I'm on the total yards. He can get yards on the ground. He can get yards in the air. So I wanted to make sure I'm safe on both sides, game script wise. And Kenneth Gainwell, I mean, the last time we saw him, 99 rush yards, 2 TDs, 6 grabs, 6 targets for another 35. This team knows how to run the ball, get the ball to the backs, and I think it's a good Warren week for sure.
Okay, let's take another big dump on this Cleveland Browns defense. I'm going to take the Steelers to go over their team total of 22.5 points. And a casual fan might say, Joe, but don't the Browns have a really good defense on their home field? They do. Polar opposite when they go on the road. This season on the road, they've allowed 34 points to Detroit, 41 to Baltimore. Last season, the last couple of games on the road, 35 to Baltimore, 24 to Cincinnati, 27 to the Pittsburgh Steelers, 41 to Denver, and 35 to the New Orleans Saints. So a big edge is going to be in the red zone here for the Steelers. Might surprise you to hear the Browns are dead last in red zone defense this season. Pittsburgh offensively 8th in that category. And Jingles touched on it, just a horrendous scheduling spot here for the Browns. One of the worst I've ever seen. They were in Detroit, then they go over to London. Now they're in Pittsburgh. That's 3 straight road games with a London game mixed in the middle, taking on the Steelers team who's coming off their bye. By the way, this has nothing to do with the handicap, but the Browns are 0-21 in their last 21 regular season games in Pittsburgh. Absolutely crazy. So we'll take the Steelers to score at least 23. Okay, Jingles, we saved the best for last. A very sexy game. Just being completely sarcastic, if you ever wanted to turn somebody off from the sport of football, you would put on the Tennessee Titans versus the Las Vegas Raiders. That game is taking place on Sunday. Ugly game, but you think a sexy betting opportunity. Break it down.
I hate myself, and I do. And
I love it.
Sometimes in betting, just ugly is sometimes the better side. And that's, I think, where we are with Tennessee and Vegas on the over 41. I'm on it at minus 112. I'd take the 41.5 too. The Blitz is projecting this game for 48 points. And a lot of that has to do with stuff that's not priced in, especially it being an indoor game. Some of the other things that are strange in this game, Geno Smith can just set up another team's offense because he's very good at passing the ball to the other team. Now, yes, sometimes that can take points off the board one way, but that can also help Tennessee in their field position. Geno Smith, 4 multi-interception games this year. That is bad. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't finish the game. Tennessee's 2 unders this year came against elite defenses in Houston and Denver, who are number 2 and number 3 in EPA per play. So yes, Cam Ward and this offense have been bad, but they've had some tough competition. This is a game also of 2 crappy defenses. Number 28 in Tennessee, number 25 in Vegas in EPA per play. So hopefully some inconsistent quarterback play washes out, but 2 bad defenses, an indoor game and a low total. Give me the over 41.5, and I don't want to watch it.
Okay, there you have it. The game of the week. Going to be hosting a watch party for this one. Get a keg being delivered. A couple 6-foot subs. Sarcasm aside, the game of the week will be on Sunday night. Chiefs versus Lions. If you're looking for picks for that game, we're going to have a standalone video for that right here on the Covers YouTube channel. Okay, that does it for our best bets for Sunday morning and afternoon. Enjoy the games. Best of luck with your bets.